Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. CCO student webinar. We're at number 94. And the topic came in recently where one of the students had asked, we need a breakdown of these specific diagnoses and the codes that surround them. They were struggling with this area. And the cardiology section, when you learn coding, is pretty intensive. It really actually helps to know the anatomy of the heart and the cardiovascular system. So that would be the first thing that I would tell you, is that if you're struggling in this area, then knowing the anatomy of the heart as well as the arteries and the major vessels, the names of them, will make that chapter go more smoothly. They wanted more information about angina, or you can call it angina, either one, cardiomyopathy, and myocardial infarctions. And we're going to go over specifics that you need to be aware of. We're not going to break down the codes themselves. I'm going to give you the information that you need regarding these particular diagnoses and tell you where you need to do your research. Let's start with angina. What actually is it? It's chest pain, but it's not just chest pain, because chest pain can be defined as, heartburn, muscle complications, but if it involves blood flow, then it becomes angina, and it usually is associated with another disease. The most common cause is coronary artery disease. People that have CAD, in fact, when you go and look at the codes, it'll say, CAD with or without angina, and then actually different types of angina, angina pectoris and an unstable angina. But know that um, it is a form of ischemia in the heart muscle. It is also critical that you know the signs and symptoms of diagnoses when you are dealing with ICD-10. Remember, we don't code the signs and symptoms in the outpatient setting when we have a definitive diagnosis. So the symptoms of angina are going to be that pressure or squeezing, chest pain, not burning, a feeling of indigestion, which indigestion isn't always heartburn. Indigestion a lot of time is that pressure, like there's a bubble caught. Pain in the shoulders, in the arms, in the neck, even in the jawline. It can go into the back. It can have nausea, fatigue, shortness of breath. You could break out in a sweat. You could have dizzy spells. All of those symptoms could be linked back to angina and CAD, even if, uh, well, keep in mind when you're reading the documentation, you're going to see these questions asked by the provider as they try to get a more definitive diagnosis for their patient. Well, there's different types of angina. So let's break those down because they have different codes associated to them. If we have stable, that means that it really only happens when a person is exercising, or as it states here, exertion. Um, you've always hear the story about people that are shoveling their snow and they get chest pain, and they've, probably never had chest pain before. Well, that would be a classic sign of angina. They're out there and they don't realize that snow's really heavy, and they're picking that up, when they if they're exercising, when they exercise, going upstairs, that is an exertion on the body. Now, this type of angina, the stable angina, usually only lasts about 5 minutes. And if you stop doing whatever you're doing that's exerting you, it goes away. So again, that would be stable. And that's another uh, area of questioning that the provider is going to you'll see that in the documentation. What were you doing when it happened? Did it go away when you stopped? And if it doesn't go away, then maybe it is something like GERD, or heartburn type scenario. Unstable angina is different. That is when you have those same symptoms, but you're resting. So you're in your recliner, you got your feet up, you're watching the ball game, and it's really rather boring. And then all of a sudden, you start getting this pain, uh, as if you had walked up a flight of stairs. That is not good. That's unstable. And if it lasts longer than 30 minutes, then you